from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, September 11th. So the moon is going to be in Scorpio all day. And as we've been discussing, the moon in Scorpio is no joke. We are very intense, very passionate. Our desires are very strong. We tend to kind of dabble in the dark side a little bit. And for the most part, things just get super, super testy, super, super extreme. Now, we don't want to run and hide from this energy, although many of us would feel like that's the thing to do. This provides us with a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to illuminate some of the pain, some of the darkness, some of the shadow parts of ourselves, and really transform them into a source of power, which each and every single one of us could absolutely need right now. There are 11 different aspects taking place today. 9 of them involve the moon. So you best believe that this is going to be a little bit intense. One thing I also want to bring to your attention, not that I want to hash up some not so nice experiences in the collective past, but September 11th, as you know, definitely holds some not so great memories in a lot of people's hearts. There is a residual energy that comes up from the collective shadow on these particular quote unquote anniversaries. I want to throw caution to you that this, whether you are consciously aware of it or not, is a darker force energy, a lower vibrational frequency that is going to feel just a little bit off. As if all of the cosmic weather for the day isn't enough, we do have that undertone kind of creeping up in the collective consciousness of the residual energy effects that that particular event has put an imprint on as far as humanity goes and Mother Earth goes. I don't really want to dive too much into it, but all of the historic quote unquote crises that have taken place have been aligned to very magical days in the calendar. And again, may I remind you that energy is energy. When you have people using energy for dark agendas, that will definitely leave a long-lasting effect. And of course, when you use the energy for light agendas, we can overwrite that darkness altogether. So it is really up to us to try and hold a very high vibe, to really try to rewrite, rescript, and cancel out some of that negative, darker force energy that is definitely reverberating through the cosmos because of the memories being activated in a lot of us here today because of the date. So with that being said, there is going to be a lot of pressure that we feel today, not only from the residual energies of events gone by, but with all the Scorpio energy and still the sun in Virgo, we are very much hard pressed to figure things out. We have strong urges, strong desires, strong passions really pushing us forward. But of course, that sun in Virgo wants us to only act when things are calculated, well thought through, and definitely practical and logical in the long-term plan. Right out of the gate, we have the moon opposing Uranus. So the moon in Scorpio, of course, sits across from Tauran energy. Uranus has been in Taurus for quite some time, will continue to be there for years to come. And Uranus wants us to wake up, wants us to shift our perspective, wants us to open our minds to new changes where we can be progressive, where we can move forward. And of course, an opposition isn't the best energy. Basically, the moon is sitting down across the table from Uranus, and we have some stuff to talk about. We have some stuff to talk about because the moon in Scorpio wants to get to the bottom of the barrel on why it is that we feel the way that we do, why it is we have these passions, have these desires, where it is that our fears are still well and alive living within us. And of course, Uranus just wants to shake us up enough to make us feel uncomfortable so that we're out of our comfort zones and we're more open to moving forward. But what this particular aspect does is it kind of confuses us because the Scorpio energy wants to keep everything to ourselves. We don't want to express our thoughts right now. We don't want to share our energy with anyone. We're kind of, all up in it. We're reflecting on ourselves. We're so caught up in our inner realms right now that this Uranian energy wants us to bust out of that, and we're just really not happy to do so. So this is likely going to create a little bit of tension in our heart and in our head. Now the moon goes ahead and bumps into Mercury, who is in Libra, which is going to encourage us, even if we don't want to speak up and to speak out. Now Mercury in Libra, of course, wants to balance the scales, wants everyone to be happy, willing to compromise, willing to negotiate in order for everyone to think that we're on the same page. We're on the same scale, but we're not. We want to be, but we're just not. The moon in Scorpio is so intense, highlighting for us where it is that we don't feel connected, where it is that we don't feel in alignment, where it is that we feel so extremely pressurized under new passions and new desires that we don't know what to do with this energy. And because Mercury in Libra wants us to talk about it, we definitely don't want to talk about it, but we likely will. Now, a caution here, we likely will speak out without a filter. We likely will speak out a lot of projection, a lot of fears, a lot of defensiveness. That is coming from the moon in Scorpio, trying to protect ourselves, but still kind of be vocal enough to put our own wants, needs, and desires out on the table. Now, Mercury in Libra just wants everybody to be happy, just wants everything to be light and fluffy, is the total opposite energy of what the moon in Scorpio is going to do to us. At this particular point in time, though, Jupiter, the planet of growth and evolution, is bumping into Pluto. And Pluto, of course, is the god of the underworld. He is retrograde in Capricorn, trying to show us all the times in the past that we accumulated fear, that we were insecure, that we were uncertain, that we had doubts, that we gave our power away, in order for us to realize that we have to change our ways, in order to take that power back and keep it very much in alignment with who it is that we are and who it is that we're trying to be moving forward. Now, Jupiter wants to magnify whatever is going on, and he is pushing us to just come out of the shadows. He wants to push us forward. He wants us to grow. He wants us to transform our mind, body, and soul. This particular conversation between Jupiter and Pluto is really going to illuminate our past patterns, our past behaviors, our past pain and trauma, and where it is that we 100% have no desire to go back there or to stay in this moment hashing up the past. What we desire right now is to move forward. We want growth. We want evolution. We want to feel positive. We want to feel happy. We want to get into the position where we are in a reality that is more supportive of the possibilities of the future than it is repeating the past patterns of the past. So there is a push and pull. There is a huge illumination. The volume is all the way up on all the darker parts of our past, in order for us to turn that into a fuel to fire us up, pushing us through the challenge, through the obstacles, through the uncomfortability of accepting and acknowledging our own parts, our own weaknesses, our own roles, for allowing some of the not so nice stuff that happened to us in the past to actually happen. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Chiron, and this is actually a positive aspect, because the moon in Scorpio just wants us to transform, wants to transform our emotions, our mental narrative, our soul space, our energy. Chiron, the wounded healer, wants us to acknowledge our past pain and trauma and use that in order to push us past all of those boundaries, all of those fears, all of that pain, all of that trauma, and heal that particular part of our identity and of our ego. So the moon bumping into Chiron at this particular point in time is giving us a beautiful opportunity to heal through the realizations that we just had earlier with Jupiter bumping into Pluto. The moon sextiles the sun, and this is going to illuminate the old versus new, the old attachments, the old pain, the old patterns, illuminate the new of what is possible, where I want to be free, where I never want to experience that pain ever again. And of course, the moon is our emotions and our subconscious self. It really taps into the depths of our soul and where it is that we are holding on to this emotional baggage because we've integrated it so greatly with who it is that we are that we don't know who it is that we are without it. But the sun in Virgo has analyzed this right to death, has put a bright light on all of these attachments, all of these mental obsessions, all of these memories that keep us in a holding pattern. And once you have the battle royale between old and new, you get a choice. Now, what are you going to do? So what we're going to do is we're going to tap out here for just a second because the moon is going to trine Neptune, who is retrograde in Pisces, in her place of power. So in this moment where everything seems so overwhelming, where the inner conflict between light and dark, old and new, mind, body, soul is very alive, where we're feeling like we're ripping apart, the moon goes ahead and bumps into Neptune, and this makes us check out from our reality. It makes us move into our inner realms. It makes us attach to our soul and higher self, to the cosmos, to the universe, and what is bigger than just these feelings, just this physical situation. And when we do so, we have to understand that the moon is water, Neptune is water, Scorpio is water, Pisces is water. This is highly emotional, but it's also highly intuitive. We are tapping into the higher realms of our consciousness. We are seeing the bigger plan. We are recognizing the life lessons. We are accepting the roles and responsibilities of our past patterns and behaviors. And in this moment, a huge transformation takes place. A light goes off in our mental plane, in our heart space, and in our soul space. And now we see where it is that we have to move forward, where we have to align and trust the plan, trust the process. The moon squares Jupiter, and the square is a crisis point. It's a tension point. We are definitely feeling overwhelmed at this particular point in the day because we recognize where it is that we have to grow. We can't stay here. We can't live in the past. We can't stay in the present. We have to grow. Why? Because we're being torn apart, and being torn apart doesn't really feel that nice. We're in an adjustment period between old ending and new beginning. It does not feel good. It is awkward. It is uncomfortable. It is very uncertain, and that is creating a lot of chaos in our mental plane. And Jupiter, of course, wants to push us. He wants us to grow. He wants us to evolve. He wants to remind us of all of the quote unquote more that we want, the more love, the more money, the more stability, all of the things that we currently are quote unquote lacking. We want to fill that void. So what happens here? Well, we get a little bit dark, but it's a good thing because Scorpio energy, we're able to dive into the not so nice things in life. And we're able to see that that is going to be our motivation to make change. Many of us only make changes when we are tired of the pain and suffering. And this is a prime example of that. So the moon sextiles Pluto. Again, Pluto rules over Scorpio energy. This is a powerful conversation between the moon and Pluto. Because we just got illuminated to where it is that we needed to boss up, this particular energy is going to actually give us the energy, the want, need, and desire to do so. Pluto wants us to take our power back. He wants us to level up. He wants us to alchemize the pain into power. He wants us to sit in the darkness so that we can chase the light. This is almost like a tough love life lesson where you psychologically have to beat someone down in order to see where it is that they are going to stand up and fight for themselves. That is very much what the universe is doing for us right now because we are so easily slipping back into the poor me victim mentality. We don't want to do that. We're better than that. We've grown too much for that. And so we are getting a little bit of a cosmic kick in the butt here in order for us to rise up, to power up, to level up, and really take control of some of these darker thoughts, these darker emotions, and use that as the catalyst for us to push ourselves forward. We're going to get even more of a swift cosmic kick in the butt because the moon bumps into Saturn. Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter really are the major heavy hitting planets right now that are pushing us through the darkness, pushing us through the obstacles and the challenges, magnifying for us what it is that we want that we don't currently have, and then making it a reality check so soberly in our face that we have no choice but to boss up and take responsibility for our actions or for our non-actions. Maybe we're paralyzed in fear and uncertainty. So the moon bumping into Saturn right now does give us a little bit of encouragement, is really riding off the coattails of that Plutonian energy for us to boss up, for us to get an emotional grip, for us to have this beautiful aha moment in our mental plane that literally will change not only the way that we look at the past, but will change the course of how we stand in our power moving into the future. And just when we have this boss up, the moon is going to go ahead and bump into Chiron. And just check to see if those wounds are actually healing. Just to check and see if we rub some salt in it. Does it hurt just as bad as it did earlier on in the day? We have done a great amount of emotional healing, whether you're conscious of it or not. This is happening on a soul level. This is happening on a cosmic level. But we always have to check in to see the progress, the growth, the evolution of how it is that we are actually healing the wounds that are getting exposed.